Developing right now on Morning News Now, deals and diplomacy overseas this morning. President Trump arriving in Japan for the second stop of his Asia tour after attending a summit with Southeast Asian leaders in Malaysia to celebrate a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia that he helped mediate. Now the focus turns to trade ahead of a meeting with China's president as both parties look to avoid an extra 100% tariff on Chinese imports to the U.S.
The United States is having its golden age. Last year, we were a country that was doing very poorly under a different semi-leadership. I don't even call it a leadership. But this year, we're doing numbers that nobody ever thought it was possible for any country to do.
Meanwhile, here at home, the government shutdown drags on into day 27, with Senate lawmakers set to reconvene this afternoon. We will take you to Washington. Plus, a solemn tribute to former NFL star Nick Mangold, whose death comes just days after making a public plea for a kidney. How he's being remembered, plus what we're learning about his condition. And it's the return of a special sleepover 5 years in the making. We will take you inside the American Museum of Natural History, where a beloved tradition is back for kids of all ages. Night at the museum.
Exactly. And the dinosaurs don't actually wake up in this one.
Darn.
Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your Monday with us. We are going to begin this morning and this week in Japan, where President Trump arrived just a few hours ago. He is set to meet with several Japanese leaders before heading to South Korea on Thursday.
On the calendar there, President Trump's highly anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Tensions between the world's two largest economies have risen since the president threatened an additional 100% tariff on Chinese goods. That was in response to Chinese curbs on rare earth exports. Now the Trump administration appears hopeful the two sides will make a critical deal in the trade war. In a few minutes, we are going to talk with Investopedia's editor-in-chief, Caleb Silver, for more on that possible trade deal. Let's begin, though, with NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. President Trump has already been meeting this morning with Japan's emperor, at the Imperial Palace before talks later with the country's first female prime minister. The trade relationship between the U.S. and China, though, is really taking center stage because it's arguably the most important and most likely to impact prices for American consumers. So word of a framework for a trade deal is welcome news. President Trump arriving in Japan this morning for the second leg of his Asia tour. The trip set to culminate in a meeting Thursday in South Korea with Chinese President Xi Jinping amid an apparent breakthrough in high-stakes trade talks.
I think we're going to have a good deal with China, and they want to make a deal.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on NBC's Meet the Press announcing a framework for a trade deal to avoid President Trump's threatened 100% tariff increase on Chinese imports to the U.S.
I believe we've reached a very substantial framework that will avoid that and allow us to discuss many other things with the Chinese.
Inking a deal would help to wind down the trade war between the world's two biggest economies, while at the same time tensions ratcheting up with one of America's closest allies.
Canada has been ripping us off for a long time. One of the most difficult countries to deal with has been Canada.
President Trump doubling down on slapping an additional 10% tariff on goods coming in from Canada because of an anti-tariff Government of Ontario TV ad featuring segments edited from a 1987 radio address by President Reagan.
America's jobs and growth are at stake.
The ad ran during the World Series over the weekend, but Ontario's premier says it will stop today. No meeting over the weekend when Canada's Prime Minister and President Trump were both in Malaysia for a trade summit, leaving a mixed picture on trade as American businesses and consumers wait for the impact on prices at home. While keeping Canada at arm's length, at least for now, President Trump left the door open to potentially meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and said he would maybe even extend his trip in order to accommodate that. He also said that he's preparing to visit China's President Xi in Beijing next year and would host Xi at the White House or Mar-a-Lago sometime in the future.
Savannah, Joe.
All right, Alice, thank you so much.
Now let's bring in Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver to break down the potential economic impact of President Trump's high-stakes Asia trip. Caleb, good morning. So Mr. Trump and Xi Jinping, China's president, meet this week. They're expected to announce a deal that is going to avert that 100% tariff, we hope. That is set to take effect as of now, though, on November 1st, which is just later this week. Some of the core issues in the negotiations, things like access to rare earth minerals, China's role in the fentanyl trade. What are the outlines of this deal so far? How do we expect this to go?
Yeah, there's that. There's potentially a delay on those rare earth mineral taxes or tariffs that China was going to put in place, but also a potential guarantee from China that it'll buy soybeans from the United States. So think about what we have in the mix here. Rare earth minerals on one side, soybean purchases on the other, semiconductors in the middle of all of it. So this could be substantial. The Treasury Secretary is saying that 100% tariffs on China could be off the table or at least delayed a year. That's plenty of room for negotiation there. That's a pretty big deal, both for farmers here in the U.S., but also for importers of Chinese goods here in America.
Let's talk more about soybeans. I come from Minnesota, which is soybean country, and China has not bought any this year. That's hurting these farmers. A lot of them actually voted for President Trump. So if we do see a deal here, what kind of relief could that provide to any of those farmers?
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. And you've seen the negotiations going on with Argentina and the purchases of soybeans from America there. So it's obviously a huge commodity that's very important to farmers here in the United States. But China needs it very much as well. They have a growing population, so it's obviously a huge deal in the mix of all of this. But the rare earth minerals are a big part of it. They're a sticking point that really brought on the 100% tariffs when China announced the fact that it was going to be doing these broad tariffs on these rare earth minerals. That actually brought the 100% tariff threat from President Trump. So if that's off the table, we have purchases of soybeans, we have the export of rare earth minerals. That's a very good framework for a deal.
Let's talk Canada. We just heard their talks have sort of stalled. There was much to be said about this ad, this anti-tariff ad, using a snippet of a speech from Ronald Reagan that the president was not happy about, threatened this additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods because of that. Do we know which goods that would affect and where things stand?
Well, already it's timber. That's a big export from Canada. It's oil. Some oil products come out of Canada as well, but also frozen potatoes. A lot of frozen vegetables come from Canada into the United States. It's one of our three biggest trading partners, so obviously a lot in the balance there, but it doesn't look like we're anywhere closer to a deal because of the president's reaction to that ad using that Ronald Reagan soundbite from, I don't know, 40 years ago.
Right. A big talker over the weekend, but perplexing, I think, to a lot of folks. Let's continue our tour around the world. Let's go to India. We're close to a deal there. We've had, a 50% tariff on goods exported to the U.S. from there. What would be the key points of this deal?
Yeah, well, there's been talk and reports of that being reduced to 15 to 16%, down from 50. So textiles, obviously, a huge export from India into the United States, but also various minerals and spices that are important to the global food trade, as well as obviously oil and machinery parts. Those come from India as well, but also a lot of labor that the United States has, manufacturers have moved from China, has moved to India, Vietnam, and other places. That could open the door to a broader negotiation there. A big sticking point, though, is India has to stop purchasing oil from Russia. That was one of the reasons that those tariffs were so aggressive for the United States. It looks like President Modi has said that they will do that.
All right, Caleb Silver, thank you very much.
Another big story, Jamaica is bracing for what could be a life-threatening storm. Overnight, Hurricane Melissa intensified, becoming a Category 5 hurricane. It's now taking aim at the island, packing sustained winds of 160 miles an hour. Jamaican officials issued mandatory evacuations for parts of the island. They're giving a stark warning. Some communities may not survive the catastrophic flash floods. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center says 30 inches of rain are possible for the island nation. The storm's already killed 4 people along its slow path through the Caribbean. NBC News correspondent George Solis has the latest from Jamaica.
Good morning. The winds and the rain starting to intensify. Melissa, now a Category 5 storm, still slowly making its way here to Jamaica. No one really certain where the landfall will be yet. Officials' messaging is very clear. This is a time for visitors and for locals to hunker down, help one another, and prepare for what could be a once-in-a-generation storm. Now, yesterday we toured many areas, some of those areas were prone to flooding. Officials there clearing beaches, some locals still saying they are going to ride out this storm, even with the messaging clear. There are also mandatory evacuations in place for some of these low-lying areas where these communities are expected to flood. In one particular community, buses were staged not many people getting on except one person that decided to leave, a lupus patient, because she simply didn't want to take the chance. Now, we know Melissa could be a historic storm. It's already wreaked havoc in other parts of the Caribbean. We know it's responsible for at least 1 death in the Dominican Republic, 3 in Haiti. Officials briefing daily since this storm has been approaching, warning the public that they need to make those last-minute preparations now. Now, a lot of stores have closed down. There was one that was still open for anyone that needed to get those last-minute supplies. Carts have been full, some shelves also barren, but officials saying they have those supplies in place once this storm passes. We're talking not just food and water, but also ways to get communications and utilities. Vandalism was also a big concern for officials, and they are asking people, of course, not right now, but to just keep a vigilant eye once this storm passing for any signs of looting or any signs of vandalism. Now, again, we're looking at the potential for some catastrophic rain, which could mean a lot of flooding. It could mean a lot of power outages for extended periods of time. So at this point, it really is almost unsafe to be out if you don't have a plan in place to shelter as this storm passes. The expectation, the hope is that the storm begins to accelerate once it makes landfall. But if this ends up lingering here, it could obviously be a very historic event. Officials saying they have weathered storms before, but this could obviously be a very different ballgame. And one final note, the shelters here across the island, all of them open, none full yet, but officials expect that could change in the coming hours. Back to you.
All right, George, thank you.
Well, let's get the up-to-date track for Hurricane Melissa, plus some other forecast details from meteorologist Andrea Romero.
Yeah, she joins us with the Morning News Now weather. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. And Hurricane Melissa continues to move slowly south of Jamaica. It intensified this weekend rapidly. It intensified in a period of 18 hours, over 70 miles per hour, to become that major category storm. And today, it's a monster. We're talking about a Category 5 hurricane that's located about 130 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica. It's packing winds of 160 miles per hour. And like I said, it's moving slowly towards the west at around 3 miles per hour. These are the watches and warnings we have up currently. We have a hurricane warning for Jamaica, for eastern Cuba, and we also have a tropical storm warning for parts of Haiti. And now we also have hurricane watches that are up for the Bahamas as well as Turks and Caicos. So this is what we're expecting as we track Melissa. Life-threatening rainfall locally up to 40 inches, moving over Jamaica. Relentless and destructive wind gusts of over 100 miles per hour. Tomorrow, Melissa will take aim on Cuba, and the outer bands of the storm will also be brushing parts of Haiti. And then by Wednesday, it should accelerate, and some of its impacts will be felt in the Bahamas and even in Turks and Caicos. And of course, the rainfall is what we're so worried about in Jamaica. We're talking about still probably close to 30 inches of rainfall that can fall in Mandeville, also in Bull Savannah, close to 19 inches. So we're talking about catastrophic flooding and landslides that will be impacting Jamaica. And then we have also the damaging winds, wind gusts of 100 miles per hour that will be hitting that area. Winds will contribute to storm surge impacts, possibly 13 feet of storm surge is expected along the southern coast of Jamaica. As we track Melissa, we see as it moves tonight into tomorrow over Jamaica, then tomorrow night into Wednesday, we're talking about an impact over Cuba still as a major hurricane. And then after that, it'll move into the Atlantic. Fortunately for the East Coast, we're not expecting a direct impact here in Bermuda. Once again, it seems like that storm might get hit by this hurricane. Looking at our national forecast, we do have some mountain snow over the northern Rockies. We also have warm temperatures along the southwest, along the western coast, heavy rain. We have the chance of some flooding, perhaps along the Space Coast in Florida, in the southeast. And then, of course, we have those chilly temperatures in the northeast that we're waking up to. So
fall is here.
It's a little bit of everything. Exactly.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so
Andrea.
much. See you in a bit.
The consequences of the government shutdown are threatening to impact more Americans as it enters day number 27. The Senate reconvenes at the Capitol this afternoon, but lawmakers are no closer to a deal. Republicans' stopgap funding measure failed again to get through the Senate last week, a 12th time it has failed now. Democrats also sank a separate Republican-backed bill to pay essential federal workers who continue to work during the shutdown.
Meanwhile, the House still out of session after Speaker Mike Johnson canceled all votes today. It hasn't held a vote in over a month and will likely remain out of session all week unless the Senate reaches a deal to reopen the government.
For more on how the shutdown is being felt across the country, let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona. Mel, so we are still a month away or so from Thanksgiving, but Trump administration officials are already warning about a potential holiday travel meltdown if the government does not reopen. Imagine TSA agents still aren't getting paid, the air traffic control issues. I mean, just how bad right now is the situation at airports?
Yeah, good morning, guys. We are starting to see some travel delays at airports. Just yesterday alone, for example, 8,000 flights were delayed. And of the uptick we've seen recently, 53% of those are related to staffing shortages, compared to just 5% back in February that were related to staffing shortages. So this is starting to become a problem. It's going to become even more of a problem potentially starting tomorrow. That is when air traffic controllers are set to miss their first full paycheck. And so what's happening is air traffic controllers, instead of coming in and working without pay, they're calling in sick. Some of them are picking up extra jobs to make ends meet. There are some food bank donations being set up specifically for air traffic controllers. But the longer this goes on, the more delays we're going to see. Just take a listen to Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, talking about this yesterday.
Just yesterday, Maria, we had 22 staffing triggers. That's one of the highest that we've seen in the system since the shutdown began. And that's a sign that the controllers are wearing thin as we get to Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that you're going to see more staffing shortages in towers, which means you're going to see more delays, more cancellations. And then you see more Americans frustrated at Democrats, and they'll say, open up the government. Enough is enough.
And of course, if this does drag on to Thanksgiving, that is such a huge travel holiday. So there's a lot of concern about the delays, the meltdown, as you put it, that could ensue. But hopefully Congress gets this solved before then. Just right now, there is no end in sight.
Oof, my gosh, I can't imagine this over Thanksgiving. Mel, also in the coming days, more than 40 million low-income Americans who just receive food assistance through SNAP will either get less help or potentially stop receiving those benefits. Here's something, though. Congress has already set aside billions of dollars to help if something like this were to happen. Why are they not using it?
So the USDA put out a memo saying they don't believe it would be legal for them to use those funds in this situation because those funds are supposed to be for emergencies like a disaster. And according to this memo, they said this was a manufactured crisis by Democrats. And so essentially they put the blame solely on Democrats, said Democrats have the power to end this immediately by voting to reopen the government. Of course, Democrats are crying foul here, saying that the White House is trying to maximize the pain as much as possible to try to force Democrats to the table. But the reality is, after this week, there's going to be millions of Americans who can no longer afford to get their food, get their groceries. This is a program that over 40 million Americans rely on. So this is becoming very quickly a dire situation for many Americans.
And it's going to have a bipartisan impact. I mean, it's going to hit red states, blue states, rural areas, big cities. Are there any state governments that are looking at this and trying to figure out a way to step in and fill the gap?
There are some states that are trying to figure out how they can make this program work. Louisiana, Vermont, Virginia, officials in all of those states, for example, have said that they're going to try to pay their own way to these SNAP benefits. However, there's a lot of questions about whether they have enough money to do that. These are very expensive programs. There's also questions about whether they will be reimbursed by the federal government, especially given that memo that I just outlined for you. But other states are trying to find other ways to help people out. California, for example, they're deploying the National Guard to help with food distribution. And in Arkansas, they're recommending that people start really stocking up on non-perishable goods in case this goes on for a long time.
Mel, yet another impact to discuss here, military families. Lawmakers are actually facing a deadline to try to find a way to keep covering those paychecks at the end of this month. Of course, that's just later this week. It comes out after last week, the Pentagon confirmed that it had accepted an anonymous $130 million donation to pay troops their salaries and their benefits during this shutdown. What is the latest on that?
Well, $130, while $1 million is a noble donation, it really is only a drop in the bucket compared to what it actually costs to fund the troops. You're talking about just one pay period. That's billions of dollars in order to cover the salaries for members of the military. So there's a lot of uncertainty about whether they will get paid at this next pay period. The Trump administration did move money around to ensure that they got their last paycheck October 15th, despite it being a shutdown. The question is whether Congress is going to step up to the plate and try to pass a bill that would pay the military as well as federal workers. They tried passing a bill last week that would only pay workers who are actively working. Now there's a question about whether they're going to try to combine their efforts with a Democratic bill that would also pay furloughed workers. Still unclear whether that will succeed, but that's something we're watching very closely on Capitol Hill this week, guys.
Busy week ahead for you, Mel. Thank you so much.
Well, this morning, investigators are looking for a potential motive in a mass shooting during homecoming festivities at one of the first historically black colleges in the U.S. over the weekend. Authorities say one person was killed, at least 6 others were wounded in a shooting at Lincoln University on Saturday night. That's about 50 miles west of Philadelphia. Yesterday, the victim was identified as 25-year-old Jawan Jeffers. The university police chief said the shooting began after a football game when crowds were gathering for a tailgate. The suspect was taken into custody after the shooting and charged with carrying a concealed firearm without a license.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, where's the beef? American farmers beefing with President Trump over a plan to lower beef prices by importing more meat from Argentina. How it could change what you see at the grocery store.
Up first, so after the break, major developments in that stunning daytime heist at the Louvre Museum. What we're learning about 2 suspects now under arrest. We'll be right back. We are back with a major breakthrough in that shocking heist at the Louvre Museum. 2 suspects are now in custody, roughly 1 week after a group of thieves stole more than $100 million worth of jewels during a brazen daylight robbery. French police say they were able to track the suspects down thanks to DNA left at the scene. NBC News International correspondent Ralph Sanchez has the details.
A potential breakthrough in the hunt for the Louvre jewel thieves. 2 suspects arrested and being questioned by French police. One taken into custody at Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport as he was trying to leave the country, according to prosecutors. 1 week after the armed robbery committed at the Louvre, investigators from the Brigade for the Repression of Banditry carried out arrests on Saturday evening.
The suspects are being interrogated inside of this vast police headquarters in northwest Paris. Under French law, they can be held without charge for 96 hours, so until Wednesday evening.
Last Sunday's stunning robbery took less than 8 minutes. The thieves getting in and out of the Louvre's Apollo Gallery on this ladder truck before escaping on motorbikes. A French police union rep telling the Europe 1 channel the suspects in custody are known criminals with a history of burglary and were tracked down using DNA recovered from the scene. Authorities say 4 thieves took part in the robbery, but there may be other accomplices. And so far, no sign of the stolen crown jewels, including this necklace given by Napoleon to his second wife. Prosecutors valuing the jewels at $102 million, but a priceless historic value to the people of France. Alexandre Portier, the French lawmaker leading a parliamentary investigation into the heist, tells us it may already be too late to recover the treasures. I have absolute trust the police will do everything possible to find them. However, there's a risk, I fear, that these jewels have already been cut to pieces.
And prosecutors aren't saying whether the 2 suspects in custody are the 2 who allegedly went into the Apollo Gallery or the 2 who stayed on the street with the ladder truck, or if they're part of this alleged broader network. But the French government is deeply concerned about leaks, which they fear could derail the effort to actually recover the jewels. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Ralph, thank you very much.
In the Middle East, the next steps in the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas are beginning to take shape. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said a number of countries have offered to take part in the international stabilization force that's expected to operate within Gaza. Key details are still being negotiated, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday that Israel would determine which international forces were, quote, unacceptable. We're also seeing a new push to recover the remaining hostage bodies still in Gaza. The search for those remains has put a strain on the delicate ceasefire since it took effect 2 weeks ago. In a post to Truth Social on Saturday, President Trump said Hamas must return the remains, that he'd be watching their actions over the next 48 hours. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter is in London with the latest.
Hey guys, good morning. And about 36 hours later, the clock is still ticking. This has been one of the key sticking points over the last couple of weeks, and both sides have now accused the other of breaching the terms of the ceasefire deal. So the Israeli military conducted a strike in the central Gaza Strip this weekend. And for Hamas's part, they say the reason for the delay in returning the remains of the 13 deceased hostages, including 2 American Israeli citizens, is that the destruction after 2 years of constant heavy Israeli bombardment has made it so hard to reach some of these areas where some of the remains are completely destroyed. Now, the International Red Cross is now aiding the search. And over the weekend, Egypt deployed a technical team to help too. And those 2 teams are now allowed past that yellow IDF demarcation line. As far as next steps, we also heard from Secretary of State Marco Rubio during his trip to Israel last week. He said several countries have already offered to join the so-called International Stabilization Force expected to operate in Gaza. As far as details, the mandate of that stabilization force, the details apparently are still being negotiated. But there were celebrations in Israel. 3 former hostages were discharged from the hospital. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Molly, thanks. Developing news now, Russian President Vladimir Putin says the country has successfully tested a nuclear-powered missile.
NBC News international correspondent Claudia Lavanga joins us now with our world news in 60 seconds. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Josemana, good morning. Well, that's right. On Sunday, also, Moscow's top general confirmed that Russia successfully tested a nuclear-powered missile that can travel thousands of miles undetected. Now, Valery Gerasimov, Russia's chief of general staff, told Vladimir Putin in a televised comment that the missile, named Burevestnik, was in the air for 15 hours and covered a distance of 8,700 miles, and not because that's the limit. It could go even further, he said. Gerasimov said the missile has potentially unlimited range and the ability to evade missile defenses. Let's go to Argentina now, where President Javier Milei came out victorious from Sunday's midterm elections. Milei's Libertad Avanza party won over 40% of the votes, exceeding analysts' projections. The election was widely seen as a referendum on Milei's controversial 2 years in office as president. He's also a key ally of President Trump, who recently pledged a $40 billion loan to Argentina on condition that Milei stays in power. And let's end this tour of the world in Romania, where cat breeders from around the world gathered for the largest cat event in the world. It is a gathering that takes place every year in a different country. And this year, more than 1,000 cats from over 30 countries competed for the coveted title of World Winner. Well, we don't know who received the first prize, guys, but looking at those pictures, won my heart.
What's it like when you get that many cats together? Like, how do they interact with each other is sort of my main question. I feel like my cats never got along with other cats terribly. So.
That's a good point. There were some interesting looking cats there, by the way. No clue what those were. All right, Claudia, thank you. Well, coming up, sadness in the sports world over the death of a former NFL star.
Jets legend Nick Mangold passed away over the weekend, just days after making a public plea for a kidney donation. What we know about his condition next. This is Morning News Now. Back now with some sad news from the sports world. Former Jets center Nick Mangold died over the weekend. Not even 2 weeks ago, he made a public plea for a kidney donation. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo has reaction from those who knew him.
Please welcome Nick Mangold. Just 12 days after posting a plea online for a kidney donation, the New York Jets announcing former center Nick Mangold has died. Reaction pouring in.
That's just, it's brutal. It's such a great young man.
Former coach Rex Ryan breaking down on ESPN's Sunday NFL Countdown.
That's what I remember about this kid. He was awesome and just way too young. I feel so bad for his wife and family.
Mangold posted online telling fans about a genetic defect that caused chronic kidney disease, which ultimately led to his death. The The post saying, "I always knew this day would come, but I thought I would have more time," adding he didn't have any family donors available and asked the public to consider registering to see if they might be a match. There are nearly 90,000 people in need of a kidney in the U.S., with an average wait time of 3 to 5 years. The 41-year-old was drafted by the Jets in 2006 from Ohio State, playing his entire 11-season career with the team before retiring after the 2016 season. In 2022, Mangold was inducted into the team's Ring of Honor, showing his sense of humor, famously cracking open a beer during his speech.
I, along with my family, will always be Jets fans for life.
Mangold is survived by his wife and 4 children. Stephen Romo, NBC News.
All right, now for more on kidney disease, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor to our friend, Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, good morning. Great to see you. So let's start off with chronic kidney disease. How does it impact the body? What are some of the symptoms?
Well, if we think about the kidney's most important function is to filter out waste, excrete extra water. It regulates our blood pressure. It makes hormones that are important for our bone health and for making red blood cells. So it has an extraordinarily important function in the body.
Right.
When it stops working, the symptoms can be specific to the kidney. For example, you can have foamy urine. You can be increasing or decreasing how much you urinate. And then very nonspecific symptoms. So fatigue, nausea, weight loss. Sometimes very early in kidney disease, you will be totally asymptomatic. But as it progresses, people definitely become more symptomatic.
How common is chronic kidney disease?
So about 14% of the U.S. can have a different stage of chronic kidney disease, about 37, 38 million people. It is much more common in older individuals as opposed to younger individuals, but it's, it can be caused by a lot of different things: high blood pressure, diabetes, certain congenital issues, or genetic defects. So the causes are quite varied, and obviously any one of us could be susceptible to some of those that are not let's say genetic.
Right. So if it's not genetic, what are risk factors, and can you lower your chances of getting this at all?
So I think the biggest ones would definitely be diabetes, type 1 and type 2, as well as high blood pressure and heart disease, obesity, smoking. So, a lot of things that are well within our control can contribute to chronic kidney disease. We don't have a lot of information on his, other than to say he said he was diagnosed with a genetic disease in his early 20s.
Right.
That generates amongst us medical professions and renal colleagues a couple of plausible etiologies, but we don't know the exact nature of his disease.
When Mangold made this plea for a kidney, he mentioned a transplant database. What should we know about the different kinds of donations, and if someone is interested in trying to help someone else who is on that database, what can they do?
So this is really important. I work closely with some of our transplant colleagues at NYU. There is something that's called the National Kidney Registry that you can go to, and you can say, I'm interested in becoming a donor. So you mentioned what type of donations are there. There are living donors, and there are cadaveric or deceased donors. The living donor can be a relative, a non-relative, someone you know, somebody you don't know. There's different variations of that. But you can look into becoming a living donor for kidneys. Cadaveric or deceased happen to be the most common, but as many people as we can get in these registries, because healthy kidneys from a living donor are amazing.
Right.
The process to become a donor is quite extensive. The evaluation is very comprehensive: medical, physical, psychological testing that they do on a potential donor to make sure that you are indeed a good candidate, because again, then you will be without a kidney, which you can survive with one kidney, but you're doing this miraculous, amazing thing for somebody else. They need to know that you're somebody who can handle that kind of, major gift.
What does it mean to have one kidney? What does life look like?
So, everything pretty much, one kidney can function perfectly well. But things that would normally harm a kidney, for example, smoking or diabetes or high blood pressure or anti-inflammatory drugs, those kinds of things you have to be even more ultra careful about. So yes, of course you think, well, I'm healthy now. Will I be healthy in 20 years? Do I want to do that? But again, it's a very individual decision. Some people are so altruistic that they definitely want to do this. But yeah, you have to be very careful, because that's your last kidney then, obviously. So there are rules and regulations that you must follow if you have donated your kidney.
All right. Dr. Azar, thank you so much. Well, sticking AI glasses from companies like Meta let users take videos, stream music, capture everyday moments. But for people who are blind or visually impaired, they can also be a lifeline. Consumer investigative reporter Susan Hogan from NBC Washington has a look at how they're changing lives.
Meet Chriselle Brown, a native Washingtonian who's fiercely independent. She rides Metro, takes the bus, even shops for groceries, all while being declared legally blind at birth.
I can see people and objects, but I cannot see details.
That's where Meta's AI glasses come in. Originally designed for streaming and capturing video, members of the blind community quickly discovered another use, one that's transforming daily life.
Hey, Meta, what's in front of me?
With a simple voice command, the glasses' built-in camera, microphone, and speakers let users talk directly with an AI assistant that can identify objects, read text, and describe surroundings.
So when you put them on, how does your world change?
It changes a lot in me being able to get descriptions. As I mentioned, I don't see detail. So being able to ask Meta, like, hey, Meta, what's in front of me? And it can give me extreme detail up to what someone design is on their shirt.
When I first met Chriselle, she could only see my shadow until she asked,
hey, Meta, can you describe the person that's sitting in front of me?
The person is wearing a white sweater and light-colored pants.
Can you describe what hair color and what eye color they have?
The person has blonde hair and their eye color appears to be blue or light-colored.
Chriselle isn't just using the technology. She's now teaching others how to use it at Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind in Silver Spring.
Hey, Meta, live translation.
The 3-day monthly seminar is free to the community. And on the day we met her, she invited us along as she and her student Rose headed to Starbucks, where she showed Rose how to ask, hey, Meta, can you read the menu? The glasses instantly described the options aloud, a small moment that symbolized something much bigger, independence in a world where they so often have to rely on others. The glasses also connect to a free app called Be My Eyes, which recently partnered with Meta. It links users to millions of volunteers around the world who can see what they can't, providing real-time audible feedback through the glasses speakers.
If you could just give me a spot check to see if I missed anything.
Yes, I'm taking a look. I use them for a lot of things. I use them to sometimes help me pick out certain clothes if I think I want them to match a certain way. If I'm at the store and they can't find me a representative, I will use the Be My Eyes to get a volunteer to help me find the specific items at a grocery store.
Chriselle says this technology has been life-changing, but she's careful not to rely on AI alone.
Hey, Meta, how many steps? What if this thing said there's no step, but it is steps?
So hold on to the railing. I always tell people that, you know, when I'm teaching the classes, these classes are meant to enhance your independence, but not replace the services and the knowledge that you have gained from taking the other classes.
That is just incredible. Our thanks to Susan Hoga for that story.
All right, coming up on Morning News Now, the thrill is over for a decades-old amusement park.
Fighting back tears thinking about how much fun I've had on this ride and what it's been through.
When we come back, the economic roller coaster that's forcing Six Flags America to shut down. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, the film industry has notably struggled to get people back into theaters since the pandemic, as we know. But amusement parks also, they've quietly found themselves in this same predicament. For example, the Six Flags amusement park outside Washington, D.C. is closing permanently after this upcoming weekend. It is a tough moment for the local community and the entire decades-old franchise known for affordable thrills. NBC News senior policy reporter Shannon Pettypiece has more on the glimpse this closing gives us of our economic roller coaster.
The rides, the games, the thrills. All of it now going dark. Six Flags America, right outside D.C., will close its gates November 2nd, and another in California set to shut down in the next 2 years, raising a red flag for the nation's largest theme park chain and for how many Americans can afford to have fun. Six Flags, known for its cheaper prices, now struggling with declining attendance, aging infrastructure, leadership changes, and sky-high debt. Stock, some might say, in free fall, down nearly 50% this year. So a group of activist investors, including football star and Taylor Swift fiancé Travis Kelce, took a 9% stake in Six Flags, pushing for an overhaul. Kelce in a statement saying, The chance to help make Six Flags special for the next generation is one I couldn't pass up. Jerry Huster thinks this park is special. He traveled from Orlando to the Six Flags in Maryland for one last visit before the park closes.
Like, I'm fighting back tears thinking about how much fun I've had on this ride and what it's been through.
This 108-year-old roller coaster has survived fires and hurricanes, but it's all but certain it won't weather this storm. In a statement announcing the closure, the company said the park was not a strategic fit with the company's long-term growth plan. The park has long catered to the middle class, with season passes selling for as little as $50 and a daily ticket online sold for $29.
Six Flags have always had the benefit of being the target demographic for middle-class America.
But as businesses seek wealthier customers who are driving a growing share of overall spending, they're also boosting prices. Like Disney, where a one-park, one-day ticket at Disneyland this holiday season will run you more than $200. A Lightning Lane Premier Pass there, $449. Navigating the maze of theme park pricing in some ways becoming its own American pastime. But Disney is not alone in hoisting amusement costs. One analysis showing single-day prices across Universal theme parks, owned by NBC News parent company Comcast NBC Universal, up by an average of 49% in the last 10 years, outpacing overall inflation. That same review showing parking prices across the top 20 attractions up 83%. But Six Flags has struggled to raise prices while keeping visitors. In 2022, then CEO and current chairman Salim Basoul told investors the company was trying to shift away from, quote, what I call the Kmart Walmart to maybe the Target customers. On the same call, Basoul lamented that the park, with its relatively affordable season passes, had become a, quote, cheap daycare center for teenagers during breaks and the summer. The company then pivoted to a more complex pricing system that cost Six Flags millions of visitors. And all this comes as middle-class households struggle with persistent inflation and now a slowing job market.
The general pricing issues that we're all faced with in the grocery stores and gas pumps, that had an impact on us.
For families like Matt Donahue's, there's a big hole to fill without the park.
For us, the park has been an extension of who we are for the last 10 years. We come, anywhere between 80 and 100 times a year.
Here in Maryland, Six Flags America now running out of track. How far behind is the American dream? Shannon Pettypiece, NBC News.
Some other financial news now. Porsche is reporting its first quarterly loss in years.
We have NBC's Emily Lorsch here live with that and other money headlines. Emily, good morning. Hey, Joe and Savannah. Yeah, Porsche is hitting the brakes after reporting its first quarterly loss in years. The luxury automaker was weighed down by a costly bet on electric cars, slowing demand in China, and higher U.S. tariffs. Porsche is pivoting back to gas and hybrid models as it looks to regain traction with the new CEO taking the wheel next year. And JP Morgan Chase is pushing back after footing a massive legal bill, more than $100 million, for convicted fraudster Charlie Javice. The bank is asking a Delaware judge to stop covering her bills after she and a co-executive were found guilty of defrauding JP Morgan when it bought their financial aid startup Frank in 2021. Javice, who was sentenced to 7 years in prison, is appealing her conviction, meaning those legal bills could keep growing. Finally, OpenAI may soon be adding music to its list of creations. According to a report by The Information, the company is developing a new tool that can generate music from text or audio prompts, potentially to add soundtracks to existing videos. If released, it could put OpenAI in direct competition with Google and Suno in the fast-growing world of AI-generated music. And Savannah and Joe, I know that artists have felt a bit differently. Yeah. It's been a bit controversial about AI-generated music.
Definitely. Yeah, big deal.
Oh my gosh,
artists. So we'll see what happens if you can tell the difference between what's
Yeah.
AI and what's not.
Some of them you can't, which is kind of scary. Thank you.
All right, other money news now. With beef prices at record highs, some ranchers are pushing back on President Trump's plan to import more beef from Argentina. The president says it'll lower prices for American shoppers, but ranchers say the imports won't make a difference and the move will actually hurt American agriculture. Reporter Gordon Severson from our Minneapolis affiliate, KARE 11, spoke to one cattle farmer about the impact.
Like the calls to his herd, Don Schiefelbein was also called to life as a beef rancher.
You either got it in your blood or you don't, and we got it in our blood, right?
His father started the beef operation in Kimball back in 1955.
These are all Angus bulls.
The family now manages a herd of more than 400. And it takes a herd of family members to keep it going.
There's literally 80 of us.
There's a lot of passion and heart behind this herd. And that's why Don was so hurt by recent comments made by President Trump.
Rural America was pretty dang good to President Trump. And it just hurt that, you know, for a few pennies, you're going to sell us out.
The president's idea is to import more beef from Argentina to lower prices for American consumers.
The president loves our ranchers and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both.
A punch in the gut to a lot of our farmers.
Tom Peterson with the Minnesota Department of Ag says increasing the beef supply could lower prices, but not by much. And he's worried the beef is lower quality and more prone to diseases, since Argentina doesn't have the same safeguards as the United States.
I think it conflicts with a lot of the U.S. first policies.
Peterson and Don agree the amount of beef the president is hoping to bring in won't make a huge difference in dollars and cents.
Hey, boss! Hey, boss!
He's more worried about the timing, with beef ranchers finally getting a chance to recoup their losses from the last few years.
And so we're finally enjoying a time where we can heal. And that's what I'd like to tell to the president. It's really a healing time. It's not even that we're getting rich.
And our thanks to Gordon Severson for that report.
Well, coming up, a special kind of slumber party making a comeback at one of New York's most popular museums.
I wanted to do this for a long time for myself and for him, and it's kind of magical.
That's very, very, very right. Kids of all ages now welcome to spend a night at the museum once again. We're going to take you inside the American Museum of Natural History for the beloved tradition's big return, 5 years in the making. This is Morning News Now. A beloved tradition inspired by a popular movie is making a comeback. After a 5-year hiatus, kids and families can once again experience their own night at the museum at the American Museum of Natural History. But you won't have to worry about the rampaging T-Rex skeleton or evil mummy. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson takes us inside the sleepover.
Hey there, we've got a fun one about a big comeback for the sleepover where you never get tired of learning something new. Under the careful watch of a T-Rex, a grizzly bear, and this big blue whale, a slumber party, years in the making.
I've never been to this museum before, but I bet it's a lot of fun. I'm very, 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 very excited.
All that excitement for a colossal comeback here at New York's American Museum of Natural History, with its cherished sleepover program for kids and their families officially back on after a 5-year pause.
I am excited as a monkey winning 20,000 bananas. Flashlights out.
The idea? To encourage these young explorers to grab a flashlight and get curious.
We got to see a lot of fossils, and they told us a lot of fun facts.
For the museum's Senior Director of Visitor Services, Aaron Onleu, bringing back the program felt like a no-brainer.
This is the best way to have an evening with your family and your children.
This night at the museum, inspired by the 2006 movie.
A dinosaur! The dinosaur's alive!
Not just for the kids, but their parents, too.
It made me hyped up to go here.
It's, I guess, like Christmas morning when you're excited to see that first gift.
What's that?
A snake!
Trading screen time for an up-close look at the world's wonders.
I wanted to do this for a long time for myself and for him, and it's kind of magical.
A little laughter.
Bingo!
You're a winner!
And a lot of joy.
The night at the museum.
A real-life blockbuster, keeping kids up all night. A night at the museum and a lifetime of learning and memories. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you. You can tell just some of the parents just really wanted to do it.
I
kids were going.
am not a parent, so maybe that would be creepy, but I think it sounds awesome.
It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues. Good morning. Thank you very much for starting off your week with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, bracing for impact, a massive Hurricane Melissa strengthening. Now a monstrous Category 5 storm wreaking havoc on Jamaica and surrounding Caribbean nations. More on the dire conditions on the ground there and where Melissa could head next. President Trump taking his hardline economic policies on the road with a whirlwind trip to Asia. On the agenda, shoring up global trade with a number of leaders, including a high-stakes Thursday sit-down with China's President Xi. Well, back home, Americans suffer through day 27 of the government shutdown, the ripple effect now felt by millions. In custody, a pair of suspects arrested in connection with last week's brazen Louvre heist that had the entire world talking. One of the alleged looters reportedly caught at the airport moments before fleeing the country. We'll bring you what we know. And later this hour, the onboard battle that's brewing at 35,000 feet over an in-flight Wi-Fi experience that's both fast and cheap. The latest airliner offering up vital internet access to passengers, all for free. But of course, there's a catch. I just want the Wi-Fi to work on a plane. That's all I care about.
It's just so true. I don't care.
More than 5 minutes.
Right. If it's free or not, it's so unreliable.
Make it work.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's start this hour with the growing threat from Hurricane Melissa. The powerful storm continues to intensify after already claiming at least 4 lives in the Caribbean.
Yeah, this morning it's slowly moving toward Jamaica, where it could be the strongest storm to hit the island in over half a century. With dangerous conditions expected to start today, officials have issued mandatory evacuations and warn of potentially catastrophic flash floods and life-threatening landslides. NBC News correspondent George Solis is in Jamaica with more.
The wind and the rain starting to intensify. You can see some of the palm trees starting to sway and bend. The surf getting rougher. Mandatory evacuation orders are now in place for those communities that are prone to flooding. The messaging from officials could not be more clear. It is time for residents and tourists to hunker down, to band together, and weather what could be a historic storm for the island. Hurricane Melissa growing to a Category 5 this morning.
How are you feeling?
Well, right now, worried. The deadly storm churning through the Caribbean and preparing to pummel Jamaica through the coming days. Residents filling up gas canisters to power generators and boarding up windows as the monster storm approaches. Even zoo workers in Jamaica's capital city are busy relocating animals. At least 3 storm-related deaths have been confirmed in Haiti, along with 1 fatality in the Dominican Republic, where dozens of people are currently in shelters, including this mother and her 4-month-old infant, after first responders rescued them from a flooded home. I spoke with one woman in Kingston who says she suffers from lupus and is traveling by bus to her daughter's home.
Even though I have my medication here, I'm still not taking any chance.
Many American tourists are trying to cut their vacation short. Some passengers arriving in the U.S. on one of the last flights out.
There was a lot of turbulence. It was almost like getting out and watching the rain come behind us. But luckily we made it.
Others stranded, including Nicole Doyon, who is visiting from Miami on a yoga retreat. But she says after exhausting every option to get home, she's stuck and will have to ride out the hurricane.
Nothing available. At this point, there are no options.
Conditions only continuing to deteriorate. They are expected to get much worse. Government officials saying all of the island's emergency shelters are now open. None are full as of yet, but officials expect that could change in the coming hours. Back to you.
All right, George, thank you. Be safe.
Our latest Hurricane Melissa track continues with your Morning News Now forecast and meteorologist Andrea Romero.
That's right, Andrea. Good morning. Looking ahead, what else can we expect from this deadly storm?
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. And this storm will continue to move towards Jamaica. It's expected to move over the island late tonight into tomorrow morning. Right now, it's a monster storm. We're talking about a Category 5 hurricane. It's located, and you can see its eye well-defined here in our satellite radar loop, about 135 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica. It has winds of 160 miles per hour. Those are sustained winds. We could have have even higher gusts, and the movement is very slow. It's moving west at around 3 miles per hour, and it was quite a weekend for the storm when it rapidly intensified. We have a rapid intensification that normally is when we have a tropical cyclone winds that increase at least 35 miles per hour 24 hours. In 24 hours, where we have extreme rapid intensification is when we have the winds increase around 58 miles per hour in 24 hours. What happened with Melissa? Well, we had 70 miles per hour in 18 hours. So this storm just basically intensified over those warm waters, and now we see those hurricane warnings up for Jamaica, for parts of Cuba. We have tropical storm warnings up for Haiti, which you can still see some outer rain bands move over that island. And then we also have now hurricane watches up for the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Of course, the rainfall is one of our main concerns with Melissa. We're talking about rainfall still over 30 inches that can fall between today and tomorrow. Catastrophic flooding and landslides are possible. And this is in addition to that storm surge. We're talking about possibly 13 feet of storm surge that could move over the island as the winds continue to push the water onshore. There we can see its track with its wind field that's going to be bringing those hurricane force winds to parts of Jamaica and then Cuba tomorrow into Wednesday early morning. And then it's going to be moving into the Atlantic, fortunately away from the eastern coast, but Bermuda can still be impacted. Now closer to home, we do have a heavy rain threat for the southeast. We can see some flood watches up for parts of Orlando, the Space Coast. We're expecting this storm system to continue to bring rain to the southern Appalachians with downpours widely scattered also in the Sunshine State. As the storm system moves, we could still have some lingering showers for tomorrow over the Carolinas. And then we have another storm system developing in the Midwest that should be bringing more rain. We also woke up this morning in the Northeast with chilly temperatures. We had frost and freeze warnings up, and we can see those temperatures this morning barely in the 30s in Green Bay, so it's quite cold up there.
They're used to it there in Green Bay.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
Thanks, Andrea.
They're in shorts.
Wow, 30s. Ooh, thank you. Well, President Trump is in Japan this morning for the second leg of his 3-stop tour of Asia. His visit is leading up to a highly anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, which is set to be held in South Korea on Thursday. This morning, the Trump administration is touting an emerging agreement between the U.S. and China that would avert a threatened 100% U.S. tariff on Chinese goods. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander is in Tokyo with the latest. Peter, good morning.
Good morning to you from here in Japan. President Trump's first swing through Asia since returning to office, and hovering over this trip, escalating tensions between the U.S. and China that have really destabilized the global economy. But after months of tough talk toward China, President Trump and his team are now expressing confidence that a trade deal could be reached within days. President Trump today welcomed by Japan's emperor before talks with the country's first female prime minister, Sanae Takaichi. But later this week, the high-stakes meeting of the trip, President Trump will come face-to-face with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, their first sit-down in 6 years.
We're going to have a great talk. I have a lot of respect for President Xi. I like him a lot. He likes me a lot, I believe.
The president's team touting significant progress toward a trade agreement between the two countries. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells NBC News that 100% tariff increase the president had threatened on Chinese goods is now off the table.
I believe we've reached a very substantial framework that will avoid that.
It's a dramatic change of tone from the president's frequent criticism of China.
You know, they ripped off our country for years.
The trip, which included a stop in Malaysia Sunday, touching on several of the U.S.'s most closely watched relationships. President Trump this morning also inviting North Korea's isolated authoritarian leader, Kim Jong-un, to meet him in South Korea later this week, though there's no expectation that will happen.
But I'd love to meet with him if he'd like to meet. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. I liked him. He liked me.
And as discussions with America's adversary China warm up, trade talks with one of America's closest allies have blown up.
Canada lied. I mean, what they did was terrible.
The president threatening an additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods, objecting to an anti-tariff ad run by Ontario's government.
America's jobs and growth are at stake.
featuring a 1987 radio address by President Reagan, edited to criticize Trump's trade policy. Democrats bashing the president's latest dispute.
He's now going to use the tariffs to try to punish people overseas from speaking out against him.
Speaking aboard Air Force One on his way here to Japan, President Trump added that he could sign a final deal with China on TikTok during Thursday's meeting with President Xi. Separately, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells me President Trump is likely to return to this region to travel to Beijing to meet President Xi again early next year ahead of the Lunar New Year.
All right, Peter, thank you.
The government shutdown is dragging on this morning after hundreds of thousands of federal employees missed their first paychecks last week. Looking ahead to this Friday, more than 1 million more are expected to miss their first paychecks. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has the latest on day 27 of the shutdown.
Hey there, good morning to you. We are heading into a week where we'll see those impacts intensify, not just missed paychecks, but aid benefits set to run out and more. Pressure points that could eventually force lawmakers to the negotiating table. But for now, the shutdown stalemate stretches on. At airports coast to coast this morning, travelers bracing for delays after ground stops at LAX and Newark Sunday stalled passengers nationwide. Delays that may be shutdown related, with air traffic controllers set to miss their first full paycheck this week.
They're completely distracted from their duties and responsibilities of keeping the American flying public safe.
The transportation secretary says nearly half of delays and cancellations could be blamed on the shutdown, warning of more to come.
You're going to see more staffing shortages in towers, which means you're going to see more delays, more cancellations. Enough is enough.
A critical week as this shutdown stretches on, from flights to food banks, many filling with federal workers.
I used to be a grants administrator and administer grants across the federal government, giving assistance, and now I'm in line requesting assistance.
And organizers preparing for an influx since federal SNAP benefits will dry up starting Saturday, according to the Department of Agriculture, putting nearly 42 million food aid recipients at risk. Millions of federal workers and troops either furloughed or working without pay. And new pressure this morning from the country's biggest union representing federal workers, pushing for a short-term agreement, which Democrats have so far resisted, to reopen the government. In a statement writing, both political parties have made their point, and still there is no clear end in sight.
The Democrats are holding it up.
Democrats see a possible pinch point Saturday when open enrollment begins on the Affordable Care Act marketplaces. They want Republicans to keep a health care tax credit from expiring. Otherwise, some could see premiums double.
Americans are going to see their health care costs spike dramatically.
And while the government is shut down, at least one private benefactor is stepping in. An anonymous donor is helping the Pentagon offset the cost of service members' salaries and benefits with a $130 million gift. Back to you.
Hallie, thank you.
Well, this morning, the $40 million civil trial brought by first grade teacher Abby Zwerner is set to begin in Virginia. Now, Zwerner's lawyers say a former school administrator ignored multiple warnings about a 6-year-old student who had a gun. It's been nearly 3 years since that same student shot Zwerner in her classroom. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk is following the developments for us. Stephanie, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Zwerner's legal team says this trial is a long time coming after the assistant principal failed to protect her, they said, in the classroom. With no last-minute settlement in sight, jury selection is set to begin today.
This morning, a teacher's quest for accountability finally heading to court after she was shot by her 6-year-old student.
Never put a teacher shot.
Abby Zwerner asking for $40 million in damages in a civil trial beginning today against the former assistant principal her lawyers say failed to take action to prevent the tragedy. Zwerner was a 25-year-old first-grade teacher at Rich Neck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia, when she was shot by one of her own students in January 2023. The bullet passed through Zwerner's hand and struck her chest, puncturing her lung. Her attorneys say the school administrator ignored multiple warnings that the student had a gun that day, first carried in his backpack and then hidden in his coat pocket. Zwerner sat down with Savannah just 2 months later to share her story for the first time.
I remember him pointing the gun at me. I remember the look on his face. I remember the gun going off. I remember feeling something. It was a pretty scary day.
How do you even make sense of something like this?
You can't. you can't. I'm not sure when the shock will ever go away.
The school's former assistant principal, Ebony Parker, has also been charged with 8 felony counts of child abuse and neglect, all tied to the shooting. The civil suit and the grand jury report allege that Parker had no response when Zwerner warned her on the morning of the shooting that the child was in a violent mood, and that Parker was warned several times that day that the first grader may have a gun, but did nothing. Zwerner's lawyers adding in a statement ahead of the civil trial, "We look forward to bringing the events of January 6, 2023 to light." The boy's mother is already serving 2 years in prison after pleading guilty to felony child neglect.
We as a country are becoming more and more comfortable holding parents and school administrators criminally and civilly responsible for gun violence perpetrated by students, including 6-year-olds.
We've reached out to Ebony Parker but have not received a response. The school district is not commenting. As for the trial itself, Zwerner is expected to take the stand. Savannah?
All right, Steph, thank you very much. Well, NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now for more on this here on set. Danny, good morning. We will talk about that former assistant principal in just a moment. First, though, just walk us through what you think each side is going to present here.
This is really a case that boils down to one word, and that's notice. And that means in legalese that what did the school know and when did they know it? And then as a secondary issue, at what point can the school be held liable? Because schools are different. Government entities are different from corporations. They enjoy some degree of immunity. But if the administrators or what they did rises to the level of beyond just negligence, to recklessness, to conscious knowledge of a risk, and that risk was ignored, then they may be able to be held responsible. But that is going to be the defense's case, basically, is notice. And I think they're going to lose on that one because there was a lot of notice, a lot of moments that this might have been prevented.
Yeah, what's the strategy for Zwerner's legal team here, and how hard is this going to be to win this one?
Well, first, and I handle litigation like this. One thing they have as an advantage is they have an incredibly sympathetic plaintiff. That's going to help them. The other advantage they have is that there are a lot of incidents on that day and beforehand where the school was aware of this bad behavior. And they're additionally aided by the fact that the facts are very egregious. In other words, there were several moments, even that day, where people allegedly saw a firearm and reported it, and allegedly one of the defendants said, no, don't even conduct a search of his person, where a pat-down would have revealed, presumably, that there was a firearm on the kid's person. So the plaintiffs really have the advantage here, and I suspect maybe the only reason they haven't settled is that the dollar amounts on each side are just not where they need to be to reach an agreement.
So at the center of this former assistant principal, Ebony Parker, also facing a criminal case later on. How will this civil case impact that trial later on?
Anytime you have a civil case as a plaintiff and the defendant is also being criminally charged, that is fantastic for your case. Ideally, you might want to wait until the outcome of the criminal case, if you can, to let the government assemble your evidence for you. But you may not need that if all of that evidence is out there already. In fact, there's plenty of evidence already in criminal prosecutions, including of the mother. So the civil case benefited by the fact that the same civil defendants might also be criminal defendants as well.
Steph mentioned that in the last few years, maybe it started in Michigan a couple years ago, we've seen this sort of cultural shift and also legal shift of holding parents or adults responsible for these shootings that are done by children. What do you think is influencing that? What have you witnessed over these last few years?
Oh, Joe, you're exactly right. Michigan was a sea change. Michigan was really the first time that we have, as a country, have ever held a parent criminally responsible, even where they didn't want the firearm to be brought to school. We've done it in the past where parents are co-conspirators, but where a parent accidentally or negligently let a child get access to a firearm. As far as I know, I believe that is the first time it has ever happened, and it really reflects the fact that we as a country are so finished with school violence, with gun violence in schools, that we're prepared to shift our law in a direction of holding not only maybe teachers, but parents criminally responsible for shootings that happen at school. Traditionally, that's not how it worked in the U.S. We traditionally said, well, if it's an independent bad act, then you hold the bad actor responsible, and that's usually about it, but no more. And this has happened before in history. It happened with the insanity defense. Other things have shifted over time because of a moment, and this may be that moment.
Danny Savalos, thank you very much. Well, there is much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the big airline that's wading into the free Wi-Fi competition with its own in-flight connection. But there is a catch if you want to log on.
First, after the break, in custody, a pair of suspects finally brought in by police 1 week after that wild Louvre heist that captivated the world. We've got the latest next. Back now with a big breakthrough in the hunt for the thieves who stole France's crown jewels from the Louvre Museum. Over the weekend, French police arrested 2 people in connection with the crime, but officials say an entire network of people was likely involved. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Paris with the latest. Raf, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yeah, finally a break in this case. French police swooped on those 2 suspects on Saturday night. They say they tracked them down using DNA that they recovered here at the Louvre. But while officials are celebrating those arrests, at least half of the gang is still on the run. And so far, no sign of the jewels themselves.
This morning, new details emerging about the suspects arrested in the Louvre jewel heist investigation. Authorities say 2 men are now in custody and being questioned by French police. One of them stopped at Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport as he was trying to fly to Algeria. But at least 2 more suspects and possibly a wider network still at large. Chief Brigadier Axel Ronde is an active duty police officer and spokesman for a police union. It's a national priority for the entire police force, he says. Our officers are racing against the clock to recover the jewels, hoping they haven't been damaged. He tells us the suspects are both known criminals in their 30s with a history of robbing jewelry stores and were tracked down using DNA left at the scene.
Are you confident you'll find the jewels before the gang chops them up?
Unfortunately, in these investigations, we often find the perpetrators, but only some of the stolen items. It's possible this theft was commissioned by an individual, a megalomaniac or a billionaire who dreamed of getting hold of the jewels. It's one possibility out of many. The suspects are being interrogated at this police headquarters in northwest Paris. Under French law, they can be held without charge until Wednesday evening. But so far, no sign of the jewels the thieves snatched from the Apollo Gallery before climbing down this ladder truck and disappearing on motorbikes in less than 8 minutes. Prosecutors have valued the stolen jewels, including this necklace given by Napoleon to his second wife, at $102 million. But they're of priceless historic value to the people of France, and at the heart of the collection at the Louvre, the world's most popular museum.
And the police unit that made the arrests is called the Brigade for the Repression of Banditry. They're an elite unit. They're known as the Bloodhounds of the French police. And they're the same ones who hunted the gang that you'll remember robbed Kim Kardashian of her jewels at gunpoint back in 2016. Now, in that case, they did arrest the people responsible, but most of the jewels were never recovered. Joe?
All right, Raf, thank you so much. So former FBI Special Agent Robert Whitman is here with us for more analysis of the investigation. He founded the FBI's Rapid Deployment Art Crime Team, recovering $300 million worth of art and cultural property during his career. So this is the guy to talk to. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Banditry in your title.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty cool.
There you go. He's our bloodhound here, all right? Let's just, Raf mentioned, laid it out. The DNA was key here. So what do you think ultimately led to these arrests? Did this take a long time, or were you surprised that it didn't happen sooner?
I thought it was going to happen very quickly, within a week. And the reason for that was because of all the forensic evidence they had left behind. I tell you, this happened in two stages. The first stage was the planning stage, which I thought was very good. You know, coming up with all this equipment, figuring out how to get in, wearing the yellow vest to look like they were construction people as a disguise. All of that was excellent. But the execution was terrible. You know, they broke one of the crowns. They left all this evidence behind, including a helmet, a motorcycle helmet that had DNA in it. And I knew as soon as I saw all that the BRB, the banditry squad, would be all over that.
It's fascinating to hear you say that it was done terribly, because social media, the internet, has certainly had a field day just kind of discussing it. So to hear you say that is funny. The French prosecutor, though, actually said that I think her words were deeply regretted the fact that we all know about these arrests, that it was reported in the news media pretty quickly after it happened. Why would that be the case? How does that impact the investigation?
Well, that's pretty much a standard reply from prosecutors. They never like it when information gets out, before they let it out. It could be a problem in that if they were going to use these guys as some type of undercover capacity to make phone calls to the other people involved,
right,
and gather evidence, now the other people know they've been arrested, so they're probably not going to talk to them. But it's pretty hard to keep something like this under wraps. You have worldwide interest. You have people all over the country interested, and then you make arrests, public arrests at an airport. So it's pretty much pretty obvious.
It would have been hard to hide. I'm guessing it's no surprise there's an entire network of people involved to pull off something like this. What are the next steps for investigators as they try and bring in more people?
Well, the arrest is fantastic because now they have all their cell phones, they have all their communications devices, they can go into their houses with search warrants and get other evidence, talk to their family, talk to their neighbors, find out who they've been talking to based on their cell phone towers. It's going to be a plethora of evidence coming out.
Well, let's talk about the security at the Louvre. I mean, much has been made now about essentially failures there. I mean, as we've been showing you, videos of what happened are basically coming from people's cell phones, not from cameras that were pointed at this particular area in the direction of where it happened. We now know that there's this big overhaul planned for security at the Louvre, a lot of money going into it. What do you think needs to be done?
Well, it's all good security at a museum is based on three things. It's based on the electronics, which of course is the surveillance cameras, the motion detectors, all of that. Secondly, it's the human resources. It's training the guards, motivating the guards, telling them what to do, how to react. And thirdly, it's procedures, making sure that all the cameras are working, making sure that the procedures are there that are followed, that everybody does what they're supposed to do. If you don't have one of those things, basically your stool will fall. It's like a three-legged stool. Now, in the Louvre, they're going to do this. It's a monumental task. It's an ancient building. It's not like new buildings that are built in the United States.
Right.
It's going to have it's going to be a lot of hardware that's going to have to be put in to be able to do IT, to be able to do internet and wireless surveillance. And it's going to be expensive. I mean, that's what it costs to do these things. It's not unusual that you would have less security than what you might think you might need. Museums don't usually invest a lot of money in security. People don't give donations for security. When it comes to a museum, people want to have their name on a painting. They want to be part of an exhibition. A camera's not sexy.
Very good point.
There's no doubt the museum's thrilled the crooks were caught, but I bet they'd like the jewels back. What are the odds that they find these jewels?
Well, a lot of people are surmising that these jewels are going to be popped out of their holders. They're going to be, the precious metals are going to be melted down. I tend to doubt that. Throughout my career, I've seen that they've pretty much taken care of this kind of material. Now, if they had gone into, a regular jewelry store and stolen the jewelry, that's different. They pop all that. I've seen that too. But when it comes to historic material, they try to keep it in some semblance of what it's supposed to look like. Number one, it's more valuable that way. And number two, if they can't sell it, as it is, they keep it as a get-out-of-jail-free card so they can negotiate their charges. These guys are going to get caught. They know that. So the question is, how do we negotiate our charges down?
Fascinating.
Probably won't see it on eBay, though, right?
I don't think so.
No, all right. Robert Whitman, thank you so much. Great to tap into your expertise here.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Fascinating. We appreciate it.
Coming up, could be a game changer for the millions of women who experience symptoms of menopause.
When we come back, the new FDA-approved pill that's promising to treat ailments like hot flashes or night sweats and what potential patients need to know about it. This is Morning News Now.
Back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with the commander of the U.S. Border Patrol facing growing scrutiny after an encounter with protesters in the Windy City. NBC News politics reporter Megan Leibowitz has the latest. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, let's kick things off in Chicago, where U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino is being called to court tomorrow. Now, it stems from an incident last week where he was caught on tape throwing what appeared to be a tear gas canister at protesters. Lawyers accused him of violating a temporary restraining order that banned the use of tear gas and pepper spray unless there's an imminent threat. Now, the Department of Homeland Security said that protesters threw a rock at his head, which was disputed by several witnesses. Next, let's head to New York City, where mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani got a major endorsement from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Now, this is big because Jeffries had been holding off on endorsing the Democratic candidate until now. In his statement, Jeffries pointed to Mamdani's focus on affordability and said that Mamdani, quote, explicitly committed to being a mayor for all New Yorkers, including those who do not support his candidacy. Now, this all comes as early voting kicked off over the weekend for the mayor's race, as well as the New Jersey governor's race. Finally, I know it's early, but let's turn to the 2028 presidential election, where potential candidates are weighing in on runs. California Governor Gavin Newsom was asked in a CBS interview whether he'd consider a run after midterms, and Newsom said he'd be lying if he said otherwise. Vice President Kamala Harris also kept the door open to a bid. Now, she said during a BBC interview that she thinks her nieces will see a female president in their lifetimes. Asked whether that person could be her, she said possibly. And that's a look at what is making news in politics this morning. Joe?
All right, Megan, thank you so much. We do some other health news here. The FDA has approved a new drug that may provide relief for millions of women experiencing menopause symptoms. The medication is called Linkuit. It is a once-a-day pill from drug maker Bayer, a hormone-free treatment for hot flashes and night sweats in menopausal women. The National Institutes of Health says about 80% of women suffer from these symptoms, known by doctors as vasomotor. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar is here to tell us more about it. So first of all, tell us more about just what this drug treats and how it works.
So, as you mentioned, vasomotor symptoms, hot flashes, night sweats, some of the most bothersome symptoms of menopause. The way the drug works is actually quite interesting. It is targeting or blocking two different receptors in the brain that are responsible for temperature regulation as well as possibly sleep. So in this clinical trial, they found that the women who were on the medication had a significant reduction in severity and frequency of night sweats, but they also had some improved sleep and quality of life symptoms, which is a boon. It's not just the vasomotor symptoms that bother women in menopause, obviously.
So yeah, how big of a deal is this study?
So it's huge, actually. There was a menopause society meeting this past weekend, and I was looking online, and everybody was reporting on it. And the reason is this, Joe, is that we've talked a lot about hormone replacement therapy and how we sort of expanded eligibility and people are more comfortable prescribing HRT to women. However, there are still subgroups of women for whom HRT is not appropriate or they're just not interested in taking hormones. So having a non-hormonal option is amazing. 2 years ago, there was another drug that was also approved for menopausal vasomotor symptoms, working in a very, very similar way. That particular drug has what we call a concerning liver signal, meaning that it could cause some liver enzyme elevation. This one, in this clinical trial, this new drug didn't appear to have that liver signal. A little early to say that it's not, without that potential side effect, but that's definitely encouraging.
Are there any side effects?
Yeah. So, of course, because there's no free lunch in medicine. So the most common were some headache, fatigue, dizziness, as well as sleepiness or somnolence. And so they recommend taking the medication in the evening. But as I said, for now, there was no concerning signal in terms of liver toxicity, although liver enzymes still need to be checked while you're taking the medicine.
I have to imagine there are plenty of women out there who are hearing this and thinking, I would like to try this.
And they very well probably are interested, yes.
Talk about availability, how much it might cost.
Yeah, so as available as soon as next month. Out-of-pocket cost, if you don't have medical insurance, it's about $625 a month. With insurance, as well as copay and assistance, is probably could be as little as $25 a month. Again, this would be for postmenopausal women age 40 to 65. That was the age group studied. A non-hormonal option for these really bothersome symptoms. So definitely exciting news.
All right, Dr. Azar, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Coming up, we're talking about a different sort of connection for your next flight. When we come back, the onboard battle brewing between many of the major airliners over not only how you browse and stream mid-flight, but how much it costs. We'll explain up next. Back with a look at an upgrade on Southwest Airlines, the company now offering free Wi-Fi to members of its Rapid Rewards program. It's just the latest change the airline has introduced as it tries to keep up with the competition. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has been following this and joins us with what you need to know before your next flight. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Joe, it is the #1 thing that passengers tell the airlines they want. They want fast Wi-Fi. They want free Wi-Fi. You may recall earlier this month, we were on board the United Airlines plane that is now connecting passengers to the Starlink satellite system. So make no mistake about it. This is all about keeping you, attracting you and your loyalty as a customer. The Wi-Fi wars are taking off as Southwest Airlines gets more passengers online.
Southwest will now have free Wi-Fi on all of their aircrafts.
Over the weekend, the company unlocked free Wi-Fi to customers enrolled in its Rapid Rewards program, promising to keep you connected to the internet from takeoff to landing. It's just the latest way Southwest is overhauling its customer experience. Earlier this year, the airline began charging for checked bags, selling upgrades to seats with extra legroom, and starting in January, introducing assigned seats, ending the long-held open seating policy. Why make these changes, and why now?
You know, you've got to keep evolving. It's really about meeting the needs of our customers and staying relevant and giving them the products that they want.
While charging for in-flight internet has long been an extra revenue source for the airlines, by next year, all of the top carriers will offer the service for free on domestic flights. JetBlue has done that since 2017. Delta offers Wi-Fi at no cost to members of its loyalty program. And starting in January, American Airlines will do the same. But now, speeding past its largest competitors is United, which has started rolling out free ultra-fast internet powered by Starlink. We were on board the first 737 equipped earlier this month, testing the connection. So it is super fast. Really, it's just as fast as if you're at home on the Wi-Fi. How long until the entire fleet is fitted out?
Eventually, it'll be on the entire fleet, but it'll take us a couple of years to get there.
Still, for some, the increased internet access will leave them longing for the days when a plane was simply a place to unplug.
I just want to sleep and have the plane leave on time and read.
You don't care about if you can be connected to the internet.
Find out what's going on in the world when you land. It's mostly bad anyway.
I'm with that guy right there. All right, so Tom, do we have any idea how Southwest's free Wi-Fi is going to stack up against the others?
Well, listen, it's powered by T-Mobile, right? So it is not the super fast satellite connection that you get with Starlink. And it could be impacted by how many people are on board trying to suck on that Wi-Fi at the same time, right? The capacity is going to be critical here. Bottom line, though, is we're going to see every airline in some way or another offering you that free Wi-Fi experience come January. It's all about competition. They've got to offer this. Otherwise, you, the passenger, may decide you're going with the other airline instead.
Yeah, it's become a big deal. All right, Tom, thank you so much. Appreciate it. More money news now. General Motors is cutting costs with a new round of layoffs. NBC's Emily Lorsch joins us with that and some other Wall Street headlines. Emily, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Yeah, General Motors is slashing more than 200 jobs, mostly engineers in Detroit, as part of its ongoing effort to streamline operations and increase profits. The layoffs come just days after GM raised its 2025 financial forecast following strong quarterly earnings. And while it's a small percentage of the company's workforce, it's the latest sign of automakers tightening white-collar ranks. And a major standoff continues at Boeing, where more than 300 workers at Midwest plants voted to extend their nearly 3-month-long strike, rejecting the company's latest contract offer. Talks have stalled over wages and retirement benefits. The workers build military aircraft and weapons, and their walkout is putting pressure on Boeing as it works to regain financial stability. And could it be the end of the war between Xbox and PlayStation? Microsoft is bringing one of its most popular games, Halo, to its rival, Sony's PlayStation, for the first time. The tech giant introducing an updated version of the Halo series as it shifts away from exclusivity to reach more gamers and maximize revenue. The game will also be available on PC, phones, and tablets through Microsoft's cloud streaming technology. Joe, I was never really a gamer, but I did steal my brother's PlayStation to play Dance Dance Revolution, if you remember that game.
It's just like Halo. No.
Exactly.
But this will be a big deal to people who play that. All right, Emily, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Football season is well underway. If you haven't made it to a game yet because you're busy or it's expensive, well, there's some new technology you might want to learn about. It may not replace the stadium experience, but it comes close to replicating it. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson takes a look.
Make no mistake, there's nothing quite like watching an NFL game at the stadium. But man, this has to be the next best thing. Welcome to Cosm.
What is the Cosm Dome?
You come in and it's like you're actually there, like you're at the game.
Using some seriously advanced tech, Cosm CEO Jeb Terry says the goal isn't just to bring the game to fans, it's immersing them in the magic of being there.
So this is it.
This is it. We're coming into the dome.
Yep.
This is the showstopper, right? And your face says it all. It's just,
well, because even this, right? It feels like I'm walking into my seat at the stadium.
CTO Devin Poolman says Cosm is leading the way in a larger trend, technology changing the way fans consume sports.
Working week in and week out, we did over 400 live sporting events in the last year.
While Cosm brings people to the sidelines,
Perez going to the air.
Mindfly puts them right on the field for the first time.
That's Canella in motion on 1st down and 10.
This year, the company brought its POV cams to the players of the United Football League, hoping their take on live sports will recapture fans.
As you see there's the virtual measurement.
This NFL season, we've already seen new technology take the field. Sony's Hawkeye Instant Replay, changing the game itself and viewers' experience, replacing the traditional chain gang, which physically measured first downs. Back at Cosm,
the best way to watch a sport ever. So I've been to every Eagles game.
Fans say they're eager to come back for more immersive tech.
Is this the future of how we should be watching professional sports?
Look, there's nothing better than being at the game itself. There is an energy about a live sport and in that facility that we're not trying to replace and that we never will, right? But for other fans that can't be at this stadium, that can't go to the game, that want to come out and have a great experience, we don't think it's the future, we think it's the now.
A night in the stands, transporting fans in ways we never could have imagined. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Coming up, we are heading a few flights up here at 30 Rock to the hallowed halls of Studio 8H. When Morning News Now returns, the new documentary spotlighting one of SNL's most beloved and comically revered personalities. And it's possible you've never even heard of him. What's next? Finally this hour, Saturday Night Live kicked off its 51st season earlier this month, and one of the show's legendary writers is the subject of a new documentary, now streaming on Peacock. NBC News correspondent Mark Barger has a look at Downey Wrote That.
Many iconic lines.
Strategery.
From SNL's long history.
I'm not gonna do it.
Came from the mind of one man, Jim Downey.
Jim Downey's the best writer that I ever worked with.
A new Peacock documentary, Downey Wrote That, explores his more than 30 years writing for the show.
When a really good idea comes, it's like a powder that you just mix with water, and it's there, the whole thing.
Downey was 24 when he joined SNL in its second season.
This is my first office that I shared with Bill Murray. He was a lively office mate. He was always the cast member who you throw him out naked and he would do fine.
But Downey did create plenty of material for Murray, including their mutual favorite.
¿Quién es más macho?
It was a game show entirely in Spanish.
I was just so grateful. It's like, oh, this will live forever.
¿Quién es más macho? Fernando Lamas o Ricardo Montalban?
We rehearsed it for hours, and they'd say, Billy, you got it? It's like, no, I don't think so. Just because I wanted to keep doing it over and over again.
Downey was a cast member himself for one season in 1980.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Years later, his legendary bank commercial spoof brought him back on camera.
We will work with the customer to give that customer the change that he or she needs. If you come to us with a $20 bill, we can give you 2 10s. We can give you 4 5s. We can give you a 10 and 2 5s.
Dana Carvey took one of Downey's ideas to the next level.
On the paper, it was not going to do it, and that became
Nagada.
Downey also shared a comic mindset with Norm Macdonald.
We had the same kind of instincts, the same kind of things we didn't want to do, which is just as important.
Their Weekend Update jokes about O.J. Simpson got them both fired by the network, though Downey would eventually return to add to his SNL legacy.
Most of what makes us laugh is something that's true, just you've never heard it put that way before.
Jim Downey had that way, and still does.
He continues to get funnier and funnier. I enjoy him more now than ever.
All right, I've been told I definitely have to check out that documentary. Our thanks to Mark Barger for that report. Downey wrote that, currently streaming on Peacock. By the way, Jim Downey retired from SNL in 2013, but he is still working, and he's scheduled to be a guest on The Tonight Show this Wednesday night, so check that out. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.